The 2024 college football season is quickly approaching, and we are back with our annual college fantasy football position preview rankings episode. My name is Matt Hicks, the FF Educator. I'm joined, as always, by John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar. And this year, we're starting off with our college fantasy football running back rankings. Now, whether you are an avid college fantasy football player, whether you are a Devy player, whether you are a Campus to Canton player, or just a general fantasy football player that wants to know the players to watch on Saturdays, these college fantasy football ranking episodes are very versatile. They're in depth. They're going to give you a wide understanding of the general positional value, but also the top 24 running backs that John has in his college fantasy football rankings. So, it's a really versatile series of episodes, and I'm always so excited about it because I play college fantasy football. I think I have a pretty in-depth knowledge, but I treat this series like an interview with John because this guy, he's just an absolute fountain of knowledge. So, John, before we even get into your top 24 running backs, why don't you start by laying the land a little bit for us? From a college fantasy football perspective, what does the strength of the running back position look like heading into the 2024 college football season?
First, I want to thank all the viewers. This is the fourth year Matt and I have produced this series, and we're looking at the running backs today. I also wanted to say it is very strange looking at the board today, Matt. There's no Ohio State Buckeye in the top 24. Why? They have two of the top 6 individual running backs, and they're going to eat into their workload, and it hurts their fantasy value. There's no Michigan running back. Now, that's my personal rankings. I know people like Donovan Edwards, but I have some questions. He's not in my top 24. There's no Georgia running back in the top 24. There's no Alabama running back in the top 24. I mean, Matt, in my 11 years doing rankings, it is a strange season, but the group is deep. There are a lot of interesting running backs available. We're going to look at the top 24.
So let's go ahead, John. Let's get into those top 24. And, one of the things that I love about this process, we're going coast to coast, man. We're going in depth, group of 5 guys, power 5 guys, like you mentioned here. And starting at 24 is Abu Sama III out of Iowa State. Sama took over that lead running back role last year, was highly productive, and we're ready for another big season. And then we're going to go to number 23, running back Jaheim White out of West Virginia. That's our first spotlight player in this first group of 6, John. So why don't we go ahead? Why don't we dig into the running back out of West Virginia? I think this is a sneaky good offense. Neil Brown really saved his job last year, and they've really leaned into the running game.
Couldn't agree with you more. I love this West Virginia team. I think they're very strong up front, and they are one of the best running teams in the nation. I believe Jaheim White is the best back in this field. I know there's C.J. Donaldson, and he's the goal line, the pounder. Matt, Jaheim White is the home run hitter. He is just incredible. He averaged 7.7 yards per carry last year. He only had 109 attempts, but he rushed for 842 yards. He also had 5 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's lightning in a bottle. You get him in space, Matt, and he is gone. He comes at a very nice range in ADP. Currently, it's sitting around picks 74 to 77. I love Jaheim White of West Virginia.
Number 22, Kyle Manjanai out of Rutgers. I got to tell you, he is going off the board early in all of my Campus to Canton leagues because he wasn't a highly rostered guy last year, but he took over that Rutgers backfield. And Rutgers, John, has one of the easiest Power 5 schedules in the entire country. So you get a little hesitant. You say Big Ten running back, right? That makes you nervous. But in terms of strength of schedule, Rutgers really could not have gotten an easier pull in their first year of this new Big Ten schedule. Remember, Rutgers, Maryland, these teams are free of that Big Ten East that was the Penn State, the Ohio State, the Michigan that was really, hurting the production of some of these guys. At 21, we have Quentin Cooley out of Liberty, 20, Mario Anderson out of Memphis. And then we're going to take our deep dive here into Malik Sherrod, the running back out of Fresno State.
We are so happy that he came back for a 5th season, Matt. For 2 years, he sat on the bench behind Jordan Mims and Ronnie Rivers. And the young man didn't get a lot of carries, but he finally ascended to the top of the depth chart last year, and he was awesome, Matt. 172 carries for 966 yards and 9 touchdowns. But what makes him so valuable, and most of us play in PPR leagues, not all of us, but most of us. He had 44 receptions for 260 yards. This young man is a solid running back. He came back for his 5th year. He's easily a top 24 pick. I'm a little lower on him than consensus. There's a lot of people who like him a lot more than I do. But don't get me wrong, I do like Malik Sherrod.
Yeah, there's some teams that just produce running backs. It seems year over year, the Fresno State Bulldogs are absolutely in that conversation. All right, let's jump to our next group of guys here. Coming in at 18 is CJ Baxter, the running back out of Texas. We saw glimpses of Baxter last year, and he was hyper efficient. He was hyper explosive. Now he's going to be the lead back with Jonathan Brooks off to the NFL. And I know the Devy community is definitely excited about CJ Baxter, but there's legitimate production that's going to be coming his way this season as well. His former Big 12 conference mate, now SEC conference mate, is Gavin Sawchuk out of Oklahoma. And just like Baxter, Sawchuk is one of these guys, John, where you really get the combination of Devy value, but also some really high-end CFF production projection here. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into the running back out of Oklahoma.
I'm really excited about Gavin Sawchuk. It's been a while since we had a dominant Oklahoma back. Maybe the Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine. That was kind of the last dynamic duo of runners. I'm old. I go back to Billy Sims, the 1978 Heisman winner. He was incredible with 1,762 yards, Matt, for the 11-1 Sooners. Hey, I'll tell you a season I'll never forget. Adrian Peterson as a freshman, Matt, 1,925 yards and 15 touchdowns. I mean, that is crazy for an 18-year-old boy. And when you saw Adrian Peterson, he was all man. First time he stepped onto the field. But now we get Sawchuk. I don't think he's Billy Sims or Adrian Peterson by any stretch of the imagination. But this young man was a 4-star recruit. And if you go to the second half of the season last year, Matt, he concluded the year with 5 straight 100-yard games. He really came on. He was injured earlier in the season. I love his size, 5'11", 195 pounds. Hopefully for NFL. I know why the Devy people are interested in him. Hopefully he'll get over that 200-pound mark that we like so much. But I think he's fast. He's powerful. He looks like an Oklahoma running back with NFL potential. Go get Sawchuk. He might get 1,200 yards this year. But it is a tough schedule because they're moving into the SEC. But that's why he's a little bit of a discount. I've gotten Sawchuk a bunch of times this summer.
Yeah, and remember, Jackson Arnold coming in there at quarterback, right, for the Sooners. The best thing for a young, inexperienced quarterback is a balanced running game, and you have to think that's going to be a priority for that Oklahoma offense. All right, coming in at number 16, Mekhi Hughes out of Tulane. It's going to be a new-look offense there in Tulane with Michael Pratt off to the NFL. Jalen White at Georgia Southern has been consistently productive over the last few seasons. At 14, RJ Harvey. I think RJ Harvey might be the most disrespected running back out there. Over 1,400 rushing yards last season, 16 touchdowns, and I feel like absolutely nobody is talking about RJ Harvey. I mean, 14 almost feels like a value here.
I couldn't agree with you more. Part of it in my book, they brought in KJ Jefferson. So I think CFF fans are concerned about the rushing touchdowns, and there's some reason there. But then they signed Penny Boone. But if you really look at what Penny Boone has done at Toledo and at Louisville, I'm not that worried. RJ Harvey is dynamic, and if you get him late second, early third, that is a great value and an explosive Gus Malzahn offense.
I did not realize that Penny Boone was on a 7th college team. All right. And then the last guy here in this set is LaQuint Allen, the running back out of Syracuse. Now, I think this is a really interesting one, right? New head coach at Syracuse, new offense. You have Kyle McCord coming in from Ohio State. You, of course, have Arondé Gatson, who is drawing a lot of the CFF attention, but you've got LaQuint Allen in here. So talk to me a little bit about the running back there for the Orange.
If you're going to seek value, I think he is one of the best values. He went off. I did a best ball league the other day, and he went off in the 5th round. The guy before me, I was actually sniped. He's at the top of my queue because I'm like, how is he falling? Matt, he's a dual threat running back. He's very good runner, but he's also a nice receiver. He had, 11 passes in a game 2 years ago in the Pinstripe Bowl. He basically is the offense for Syracuse. Last year, he had 1,064 yards, which was the 12th most in the Orange history. You mentioned Kyle McCord. Matt, I don't think Kyle McCord's a great quarterback, but do you remember last year the Orange took a converted tight end and they basically ran a basic triple option? The offense was so bad at the end of the year. They literally had no quarterbacks. I think they went through 4 quarterbacks, some silly number, and they were playing a tight end who was like a 5th or 6th year player at quarterback. McCord will make the passing game more efficient. Then you have Arondé Gatson, the tweener, the tight end, and the wide receiver coming back. I love LaQuint Allen at the ADP right now, Matt. He's going to be, I think, very good, and people are overlooking.
Let's get into our top 12 here, these highly coveted, highly valued running backs. Before we do that, want to make sure folks know about the high value of being a Rookie Big Board patron. You can head on over to patreon.com/Rookie Big Board to get access to my full summer scouting reports. Already have 12 running backs logged for the 2025 class. My 2025 rookie rankings, 2024 rookie rankings, Devy rankings, Dynasty rankings, articles breaking all these guys down, all available just for Rookie Big Board patrons, and access to personalized insight and advice in your CFF leagues, in your Campus to Canton leagues, in your Devy leagues, in the Rookie Big Board Discord. All of that available for just $5 a month. Head on over there, join us, and get ahead of your league mates. All right, let's get into the top 12 here, starting with Ishmael Maldi. Texas State, man, sneaky good last year. If you're not paying attention, they were good. And then coming in at 11, speaking of not paying attention, man, Jaden Ott has nothing but tote the rock for Cal in an offense where everybody knows he's going to tote the rock, and he just produces, right? We're looking at insulated volume. We're looking at lots of floor here, John. Let's dig into the running back out of Cal.
First, Cal is now in the ACC. It is going to be very strange to watch the California Golden Bears play in the ACC. And everyone who knows, I love my history of football. I'm a history teacher. Go back and watch some tape of Chuck Muncie in the 70s at Cal. He was drafted by the Saints, and he ended up in that Dan Fouts offense in the Chargers. Unbelievable football player. And who can forget Marshawn Lynch? Ooh, you think he was a big boy in the NFL with Seattle. Check him out at Cal. And Javid Best, who knows if the injuries, they caught up with him in Detroit, but he was amazing at Cal. Jaden Ott, Matt, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He is really good. Last year, people discounted him in the Devy Dynasty, even in the CFF community. They thought his freshman year might have been a fluke because he was a low-rated recruit coming out of high school. They weren't convinced that Cal was a good enough team. He's 6 foot, 210 pounds. Here's the difference maker for him. In 2 years, Matt, He has 71 receptions, 514 yards, and 5 scores. If he puts in a full season of health, and there's no reason to think he won't, he's going to end up with like 110, 115 career receptions. 3 years out of high school, Matt, he's going to break the models of the NFL scouting community. I like Jaden out a ton.
Coming in at 10 is Taj Brooks. Man, I was so happy for last season because I swear I've had Taj Brooks just hanging around so many rosters, just waiting for the breakout. And then monstrous production there in 2023. So we're looking at him to run that back for Texas Tech. Coming in at 9 is Damian Martinez. This one, John, I think will be really interesting to see. He really was the offense for Oregon State. And I think the intention, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, is that he's going to be the offense for Miami too, right? You have to think, obviously Cam Ward is there and they're going to want to air out the ball, but I'm not worried about Damian Martinez's volume opportunity there for the Hurricanes.
Oh, I'm not worried at all. Mario Cristobal has shown it. What's he been coaching? 7 or 8 years between Oregon and Miami?
Yeah.
Do you remember that he shackled Justin Herbert? If you actually go back and think about the fact that he had Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert was a mediocre fantasy football player in college and was number 8 pick overall by the San Diego Chargers.
We had to scream during the pre-draft process that Justin Herbert deserved respect because everyone just thought, because of the way Cristobal schemed, that he couldn't throw the ball because he wasn't asked to. By the way, does this sound like anybody else we just talked about in this last draft cycle? But we'll get back on topic.
So what does Mario Cristobal tell me that he's going to do after all these years? Matt, he's going to be conservative. He's going to run the football. Remember, he lost that abysmal game against Georgia.
He's not going to kneel, John. He's not.
I don't think that game gets enough credit for what a coaching disaster that was. But that's another story for another day. He's going to give Damian Martinez, if he's healthy, 250 to 300 carries. He's the goal line back. I'm not worried about Cameron Ward. I think he had 8 rushing touchdowns, if my memory serves me. But Ward isn't a scrambler. He runs with efficiency and he knows what to do, but he's not going to bust off the 45-yard touchdown. Martinez is the guy. I love him in this offense, Matt.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's not being discussed as much, but Miami's probably a top 5 offensive line in the country.
They're loaded on the offensive line. And give respect to Cristobal. I think he got Penei Sewell. Was Cristobal one of Cristobal?
Yes, at Oregon, yeah.
Yes, and Cristobal's been very good. I'll give him the credit for that. He's been very good at developing and coaching up offensive lines.
Absolutely. At 8 is DJ Gideons, and this is a really interesting one because, Gideons, it always seems like he's got a back with him, and he will have Dylan Edwards with him this season, but I do think that as good as Dylan Edwards was at times for Colorado last year, I think he's going to be used more as a complementary back, or Gideons really should be the main guy for the Wildcats.
Yeah, I look at Edwards. I'm not overly concerned about Edwards dipping into DJ Gideons' spot. Edwards is more of a gimmick space back. Maybe you want to give Gideons an opportunity on the sideline. Maybe you want a 2-minute drill. So I don't think Edwards is real competition for the workload. Gideons looks like an NFL back, 6'1", 212, Matt. He runs with power. Kansas State, surprisingly, is going to be a decent team. The Big 12 is open this year.
Wide open.
There's a lot of good teams. So if one of these teams jumps out of the gate at 4-0, 5-0, which Kansas State made, then I love it because then they're going to be pounding the rock. They have a young quarterback. And Matt, even though we'll talk about Avery Johnson soon, and even though I like Avery Johnson, how do you protect your young quarterback? You give your upperclassman ball carrier. He had 1,200 yards last year, 29 catches, and 13 touchdowns. I'm all in. Go get DJ Gideons.
Yeah, I'm excited about this Kansas State.
They could be really good.
Yeah, the offense overall, it's going to be fun. Darius Taylor coming in at 7. We expect him to be the clear-cut, high-volume back there for the Gophers, coming off a really nice 2023 season. But let's get into our top 6 running backs here, starting with number 6, Jordan James for Oregon. The expectation here is for James to step up with Bucky Irving off to the NFL, really be that high-volume back. Dig into the expectations here for James, John, who, on paper, it's, top 6. It looks aggressive on paper, but I don't really think it is.
I clearly don't. And Matt, in my last 5 CFF drafts, I've gotten Jordan James in the 3rd round. I shouldn't be telling Matt this because we compete in a couple leagues.
Here we go.
But I'm all in, and this is for the viewers. Every box he checks, Matt. Size, 5'10", 205. Efficiency, 7.1 yards per carry, 107 attempts. He can catch the ball. Check. He scores touchdowns. Check. He is in an explosive offense, Matt. Coach Dan Lanning's offense had 531 yards per game, 185 rushing yards per game. They bring in Dylan Gabriel to replace Bo Nix. Bucky Irvin leaves. I don't think this offense loses a step. They did lose their all Pac-12 center, and I forget his name. I forget. So he's very good.
Howard Johnson?
Yes, very good football player. But we mentioned Panay Sewell at Oregon. This offensive line is still probably top 5 in all of college football. Dan Lanning has kept up the quality of the offensive line. Yes, Nix was good. Troy Franklin was good. Tez Johnson was good. But that offensive line, Matt, if you watched Oregon, they blow open some big lanes for their running backs. I'm all in on Jordan James. I don't know why he's not getting enough discussion, but I'm going to draft him as often as I can.
All right. In at number 5 is Omari Hampton out of North Carolina. Now, if you've been watching all of our videos recently, you would have seen the mock draft video where we let Omari Hampton slide a little bit. You would have seen our 2025 running backs video where Omari Hampton was maybe not given the respect he deserved. So I want to say to everybody, I went back. I did the deep dive, the full tape review on Omari Hampton, and I'm willing to give the commenters some credit because there's more there than I've been giving him credit for. Like this, I love his physicality. I love his burst in between the tackles. But in this context, we love this production. Over 1,500 yards last season, 15 touchdowns, 250 plus carries. And guess what, John? That was with Drake May. And now he's gone. I mean, he's going to be the offense. I know we have I think we have an incumbent quarterback competing with Max Johnson, right? If that's I don't care. I don't care who wins that job. Omari Hampton's going to absolutely get fed.
The volume is 100% going to be there. There's no question about that. My only concern, Matt, and I'm higher on him from Devi perspective than CFF. That's how much I like him. 6'0", 220. He's very good between the tackles, and he's faster. He looks faster on film. We always worry until we see the time in the shuttle and the 40. But he's very good. The problem is the quarterback has changed. And no matter what you thought of Drake May over the last 2 years, the offense ran efficiently under Drake May. Converted key third downs, right? Yeah. Kept the chains moving. Why is that important? Well, that kept Hampton on the field, my friend. That kept Omari Hampton on the field. I'm worried they lost 3 starters on the offensive line. I'm actually more worried about the offensive line than I am about the quarterback position. That's why I have him at number 5. I have him a little bit lower because, Matt, you're absolutely right about the volume. But is he going to be as efficient? And will the touchdowns be there that have been there the last season? That's the only reason I brought him a little bit down in my CFF rankings.
Fair enough. Phil Maffa coming in at 4 for Clemson. Another guy with high running back or high rushing touchdown potential. Sorry, he's definitely got high running back potential. Clearly, we have him 4 on the list. And then Devon Neil, our guy, Devon Neil out of Kansas. I just want to hear you pine on him, John. Talk to me about Devon Neil.
Well, it's great. I'm going to first say Matt has been on, both of us have liked him for a real long time. Matt has been higher on him in the Debbie community. I'm now with Matt in the Debbie perspective, but I was more of a CFF value because I've had him on a dynasty team, been watching him run for 3 straight years. He's incredible, but when you dig deeper into the film, he is an NFL prospect. There's no question in my mind. What attracted me to Devon Neil for the 3 years I've seen him play, he's been great. He's a dual threat back. I don't think people talk about his pass catching.
Yeah, he's a great pass catcher.
Yeah, you know what? This is interesting. His numbers, he has less receptions than Jaden Ott, but I think he's a better receiver and route runner than Jaden Ott. Yeah. Right? But if you look just at the raw numbers, you would say Jaden Ott. No, it's the offense. It's the way it's designed. They take Devon Neil off the field. I think Devon Neil can run some wheel routes. He can get open for you down the seam. He's a really good receiver. But, Matt, he's an explosive space runner. We're seeing the NFL transition more to the offensive coordinators are able to get running backs in space more, like McDaniel at Miami. I think if McDaniel had like a Devon Neil and he can get him to the wide side of the field where Neil can find a lane, right, somewhere's on the wide side, Devon Neil is gone. And I don't know what his 40 is, Matt. I never see him caught from behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't probably, unfortunately, watched every run of the last 3 years. But all the runs I've seen, I don't see him getting caught from behind when he's deep down the field. He's stronger than people think, in my opinion. He's bigger, Matt. You never hear he's 200 now. He's listed, but okay, well, but he's listed at 215, Matt.
I believe it. I believe it. Looking at him,
yeah. I mean, but you don't hear people talk about his size and his power, mostly because he's so good in space, I think. But I love this young man. I got him in the second round last night. Yeah, I got him in the second round of my best ball draft. I like Devon Neil a ton.
Yeah, and I like Ashton Jenty a ton as well. He comes in at number 2. But you know what I like, John? I like his explosiveness. I like his vision a lot. I think he's got a second gear. He's really fluid into his cuts. But you know what I like the most about Ashton Jenty? Look at all the other top guys we've talked about. Playing for Kansas, playing for Clemson, playing for, UNC, Oregon. Ashton Jenty, he's playing for the Boise State Broncos, which means this season he's playing Georgia Southern, he's playing Portland State, he's playing Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose, Wyoming. Yeah, he gets Oregon State. He gets Washington State. But I mean, you have to look at the combination of pass production, talent, and then strength of schedule. There's a ton of upside when it comes to Ashton Jenty. And looking at strength of schedule, I mean, that's a huge part of playing CFF.
It is. The schedule of Boise State in the Mountain West is tasty, Matt. There's probably 4 group of 5 teams that I think will be battling for that one spot in the CFP playoffs. If everyone doesn't know, CFP, the agreement was that one G5 team, and I believe it's the highest ranked G5 team.
Highest ranked conference champion, I believe.
Yeah, and the final poll will earn a spot. And Boise State has a good chance of running the table, or maybe, any team can slip up. But if they were 11-1, I would not be surprised, Matt. And Jenty is a legitimate NFL prospect. I found this in my research, and I didn't know this, Matt. He played wide receiver in high school.
I believe it.
He's a very good pass catcher out of the backfield.
Yep. And our number 1, no surprise here, but it is Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. Gordon is the reigning running back of the year, led the nation in rushing in 2023. And John, just today, before we flipped on the episode, of course, he had the legal issues this offseason. He was arrested for suspicion of DUI. Did you see the Mike Gundy quote?
I had to. I mean, you know what, Matt? I don't know if logically defending your player by saying I've done a lot of drunk driving is really the solid way to defend your player, but that's what Gundy went for. So yeah. I'm just going to leave it right there.
It was a choice that he made, but at the end of the day, the takeaway was a very clear statement on that.
He's playing.
Yeah, he's not being suspended. And so that was the hesitation. Up until this point, up until today, I was under the full impression that he would at least miss some time, at least a game or two games. Or
in the non-conference games, the early ones.
Yeah, here's the bottom line. He rushed for 1,900 yards last year, and really, he didn't play the first three games. So, 2,200 yards if you were doing projections on this. It's he to me is clear and away the running back one. And then I think then you look at 2, 3, 4, 5, and you could start having a conversation there. Is that how you're reading it? Like Ollie Gordon should be considered a consensus running back one.
In my book, he is. I do know there's a lot of people like Jenty over Gordon. I would assume it's their projections with the pass catching upside. Yet, I wonder, Boise State's blowing people out. Will the volume go away from Jenty? I think Gordon, from listening to Gundy, he basically said, I'm giving my man 300 touches, 40 receptions, and there's nothing you can do about it. I just think the volume's there. I think the talent is there. He's the goal line back. I don't think he's a great pass catcher. He's kind of a dump off player.
He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, he doesn't hurt you. But yeah, so Gordon's number one in my book.
All right, so that's our top 24 college fantasy football running backs. We want to finish every episode discussing a little bit the Kings Classic, the College Fantasy Football Kings Classic, which John helps facilitate. And he helps facilitate it for a fantastic cause. So, John, why don't you lead us into that discussion?
Sure. If you love our videos and you do all my writing is free on Fantrax. And Matt and I do these videos, and they're all free up on the Rookie Big Board YouTube channel. The only thing that I ask is that we are raising money as a league for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Now, the problem I have is it's 30 days to collect money for a charity on PayPal. So we haven't set it up yet. It is July 9th. I'm going to set it up on July 11th. You can find the link to St. Jude's on my feed on X. It's going to be all over the place. You can find it in future videos. But if you like what Matt and I do, if you love college football, and if you want to help some young children, if you don't know St. Jude's, anyone who has a child who's suffering from cancer, St. Jude's, if your child goes there, it's absolutely free, 100% free. The last 2 years, everyone, we have gathered together over $3,000 as a league that we have donated to St. Jude's. I'm hoping to get that up to $3,000 this year by itself, but any $5 to $10, just hit the link and donate to St. Jude's. And we have a surprise for everyone now. What else do we got, Matt?
Yeah, and I'll just mention I will retroactively put the link into this video and episode as well. So as long as you're listening, after Wednesday, you'll be able to see that as well. Now, the College Fantasy Football Kings Classic, for folks who haven't been following along with the Rookie Big Board the last couple of years, it is a group of 14 of the best. Well, it's a group of 13 of the best college fantasy football players in the country, and then I'm also in it, so that makes 14. All right, and it's a super competitive league, and it includes a live draft in Canton, Ohio during the Fantasy Football Expo. We live stream it on this page every year. It's one of our most popular shows every year. And so we wanted to give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes access here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to finish this episode up, by publicly showing you the randomization of the draft order. All right, so here we go. We have all of our league mates listed in here. As you can see, some of your favorite names from around the college fantasy football community. So it's going to be completely random. I think I got the 101 last year. There was a little bit of drama around it. So let's see if I can run it back to back here, John. Let's see. Generate random order.
Woo!
Oh, 11. What is this?
Wait, so Josh got one again? This is the second time in 4 years. He's got I got number 3.
Look at this. So this is the order we will be drafting in. This will happen about a month from today in early August, but you have the behind the scenes footage here of our draft order. So there we go. We appreciate everybody checking out this episode. Make sure to support our St. Jude cause for the Kings Classic League. And make sure to also head on over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard. Thanks for checking out the episode, everybody.